Welcome back to The Movie Man. Today I will show you a 2016 drama film, The Dreamseller. Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins with flashback in which a man walks down the stairs of his home and prepares to leave for work. When he arrives at the office building, he's greeted by all his subordinates. He then reaches his office room and glares at the news channel before silently brooding over the cityscape. In the present, a security guard suggests a psychologist to convince Julio not to jump. Meanwhile, a crowd of people watches Julio's act as he tries to take his own life. A mysterious man joins the crowd and heads toward the building before snatching a hot dog from one of the bystanders. He then climbs out the window and joins Julio, who is astonished to see a disheveled stranger by his side. As he's gathering the courage to jump, the man lectures him on suicide and claims that a suicidal person is a killer. The man explains that a suicidal person kills himself and everyone he loves, including his family. Upon hearing this, Julio breaks down and asks him to stop. By now it's clear that Julio has a family problem, which is why he's about to end his life. While the mystery man suggests dismissing his wisdom, Julio is seen carrying a picture of his son. Julio's mood shifts when the man jokes about his coat. The mystery man points out that Julio is stuck in his emotional cage and is ignorant of misery after he fails to answer one of his philosophical questions. The man complains that Julio cannot bear the weight of his losses, and Julio lashes out saying he doesn't know what he has lost. The man then admits he admires Julio's courage to throw himself from such a height and crush his body in exchange for a quiet night of loneliness in the graveyard. He moves closer to Julio and asks him if he can feel his heartbeat. Julio shares that he really wants to die and has no doubts about his actions. But when the man tells him that suicidal people only want to kill their pain, Julio backs down and leans on the wall of the window. When asked who he is, the man reveals he's a dream seller and he sells what money can't buy: courage for the insecure, confidence for the phobic, and common sense for the unwary. The dream seller finally manages to talk Julio out of committing suicide. The movie again takes us back to the last flashback, when the man, now revealed to be the dream seller himself, is brooding over the cityscape from the office window. His assistant calls out to him and asks him if everything is fine. Back to the present, the dream seller helps Julio get out of the ledge as the crowd below disperses. He then offers Julio to stay at his house that night so that he can rest and leave the following day. Later in the evening, the two reach the dream seller's house, which turns out to be a slum area for homeless people. In the following scene, the flashback reveals that the dream seller used to be a renowned businessman with a fortune valued at $50 billion. His name was Mellon Lincoln, the third richest man on the Forbes list in 2013. In a meeting with Roger, his business partner, and other stakeholders, Mellon is seen discussing the downpricing of their shares that has caused a big loss in the business. He seems so engaged in his work that he doesn't even pick up his daughter's call. In the present, Julio wakes up to the noise of a train as Mellon greets him in the morning. Mellon, Julio, and Bartolomeo, one of Mellon's followers, head for breakfast, but Julio notices a newspaper headline in a small shop on their way. He's devastated to learn that his suicidal incident has gone viral all over the newspapers, and now he can no longer continue to be a renowned psychologist. In the next scene, it turns out that Mellon was taking Julio and Bartholomew to a funeral so that they could enjoy free food for breakfast, since he doesn't have any money. A lady and her son weep incessantly sitting beside her husband's dead body. While Bartholomew shoves some food inside his coat and onto his mouth, Mellon joins the mourners and shares some of his wisdom. He urges them to cherish the memories they spent with the man lying in the coffin and respect his honor while he rests in peace. He claims that although a funeral is for tears, it should be more about praise and reminiscence, attributing to the person gone. Mellon then encourages the mourners to tell good traits about the dead person that influenced their lives. The mourners individually comment on the person's good deeds. When the son shares that his father was his best friend, Mellon suggests he honor his father through wisdom and courage. Julio is amazed to see Mellon's ability to guide and influence people even in their darkest times. While walking through the streets, They encounter a boy trying to escape after stealing an old lady's purse. Melon immediately chases after the boy and catches him in an abandoned building. Soon after, the old lady, security personnel and other witnesses arrive at the scene. Melon holds the boy tightly and refuses to turn him to the police. He then convinces the lady to forgive the boy's childish act by reciting a line, "The act of forgiveness benefits those who forgive and the forgiven." The lady becomes emotional and agrees not to turn in the boy and instead provides him with some cash after her purse is returned. Later, the little boy Demos joins Julio and Bartolomeu for a meal. As they wander through the streets after the meal, a black van chases them, but with the help of Melon they manage to escape. Melon then takes the team to a nursing home and asks the other three to improvise a song for the audience. While Julio, Dimas and Bartolomeu try their best to make up a song, Melon goes out on the balcony to meet his old friend Shirima. Later that night, the group sits on the rooftop of a building. Melon asks Julio why he doesn't return to his family, but Julio reverts the same question to Melon. A moment of silence falls upon them as the two wonder about their family. Julio then talks about his son João and shares how he wanted his son to be the best at everything. Due to this pressure, he and his son eventually grew apart and now they don't even know each other well. Hearing this, Melon convinces Julio to confront his son as they have a lot of time ahead of them. In the next scene, Roger and his subordinates watch a news channel displaying how Melon, a homeless man, has gained followers after preaching wisdom about the world and contradicting the consumerist view in the corporate world. They are however unaware that the same homeless man is Melon Lincoln, who was once their boss. The men discuss how Melon's speeches have been circulating all over the news, raising awareness of the capitalist products. They fear that their business image may be harmed due to Melon's take on ethical issues. Roger however says that he's already taken care of the threat, revealing to the audience that the black van sent to kill Melon was his plan. Later that evening, Melon's followers increase as more people want to listen to his wisdom. In a cemetery, Melon gives his speech against the flawed capitalistic system. He claims that the system crushes its leaders and questions its promise for happiness to those who have reached the pinnacle of capitalism. The attendees carefully listen and agree with his statements. He then claims that the secret to happiness is to achieve what money can't buy. Next, a flashback shows Melon in his office room as Roger walks in to complain about his sole decision to stop a contract bidding. Melon however confronts him about his involvement in fund embezzlement and threatens Roger to leave the partnership for such a corrupted deed. Meanwhile, his daughter Beatrice messages Melon when he's coming to see her performing at a school program, but he dismisses her. Next, the movie takes us to a school function where Beatrice breaks down on the stage when she doesn't see her father in the audience. Later that night, she confronts her father for not making it this time. Melon promises that he will be with her and her mother the next time, but tears roll down Beatrice's cheeks as she realizes her father never spends time with her. Back in the present, Melon gazes upon a tombstone marked as Melon Lincoln. This moment is when we know that the people in Melon's life think he's dead or has faked his death. As Melon, Julio, Bartolomeu and Demos return from the cemetery, they're once again chased by the same black van. Julio quickly warns his friends before the van man starts shooting them. They manage to duck away, but Demos isn't so lucky. Wasting no time, Julio, Melon and Bartolomeu hurriedly take the little boy for help. Fearing for his friend's life, Melon suggests Julio go back to his home. In the next scene, Julio returns to his home, although his wife barely allows him to enter through the door. She wishes he had jumped off the building, but he only asks to see their son João. When Julio goes to his room, João is nowhere to be seen. His wife reveals that João has been gone for days. As a result, Julio disappointingly returns to Melon's place in the slum area. In the following scene, a woman from the press wakes Julio, who's sleeping on Melon's bed. The woman shares that she has a proposition for the Dreamseller. However, Julio tries to dismiss her since Melon has stopped giving lectures or organizing sessions for people following the shooting incident. The woman however manages to convince Julio that it will just be a short live broadcast and a tribute to the Dreamseller. Later, Julio visits Melon to persuade him for the live broadcast, but Melon expectedly refuses the offer. Julio then convinces him that he can change people's lives and help people fight depression and anxiety. With tears in his eyes, he admits that Melon is the one who saved his life and that he can save others too. The movie then takes us to a live broadcasting program where Melon readies himself for his performance. At the same time, we see Roger, who greets Melon as his old friend, and Julio is astonished to find that they know each other. Next, the program presenter addresses Melon as the Dreamseller who gained millions of followers not because of money or a marketing team but with his wisdom and views about the world, and welcomes him on board. Unfortunately, it turns out the tribute program is a trap set up by Roger to expose and destroy the Dreamseller, aka Melon Lincoln. An old footage of Melon plays in the background that shows how he was held captive because of his mental illness. The program presenter then jumps on the stage and accuses Melon of being a master manipulator. Shocked by his past revelation, Melon is forced to speak. He accepts his fault for not enjoying the small moments while he can, and admits that his past is his tormentor. After this, the movie again goes into a flashback. Melon with his wife and daughter are about to board their private plane for a trip, but a business phone call interrupts their plan. Although his wife tearfully suggests not picking up the phone, fearing he will leave again, Melon doesn't listen to her. After the phone call, he learns that he has to attend a business meeting, leaving his wife and daughter alone for the trip. As he bids them farewell and gets in the car, the private plane burns midair, causing the death of his wife and daughter. Back in the present, Melon notes that he regrets not spending enough time with his family and wasting all the time he had on materialistic goals. He shares that on the day of his family's death, a man who valued trivial things and despised essential things died. He tearfully admits that it was the day Melon Lincoln died. Although he cannot go back in time, he can start over with his life. The audience emerges with loud applause after listening to Melon's heartfelt history. The following scene shows Julio watching a TV as it reports Melon's story before it jumps to live footage of a boy trying to jump off a building. Julio then rushes to the scene after realizing that it's his son João. It turns out that João is attempting to commit suicide from the same ledge that his father had once thought of ending his life. Julio hurriedly climbs out of the window and vainly asks his son to extend his hand. João wants to disappear as he's not the son that his father wanted. He notes that his parents would be relieved if he left them for good. Julio asks for one more chance to understand his son, but João denies any chance as he widens his hands to jump. Julio quickly tells his son that he will jump first since he wouldn't know how to live without his son. Jim slowly moved his feet. His body was hanging in the air. He was about to fall. His son immediately rushed to stop him. They hugged each other tightly. Then he realized how important he was to Julio's heart. Their suppressed emotions finally exploded. The movie ends with a message: in this busy world, if you're feeling tired, why not put a comma on your life? You can stop and spend more time with your family and see more of the outside world. Sometimes you need to press the fast forward button in life, but sometimes you need to press the pause button too. That was all of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe and click the like button and subscribe to watch more videos like this. And don't forget to turn on notifications. Thanks for watching.